When I walked into her office, the mood immediately turned. I had stopped by my professor's study at HUC-JIR to share a quick hello. Although the classes for my Doctor of Ministry program were complete, I have to be on campus occasionally to work on the final project for my doctorate. It was the first day of the new semester, and I thought I'd pop in. Her door was open, and she was sitting in her desk chair, staring off into the unseen distance. She did not seem happy to see me. Her face soured with a reaction that appeared cold and detached. "Oh, hello," she murmured. I tried to make a little small talk about the summer and the new class of students. Her answers were sharp and perfunctory, even unfriendly. I backed to the door, my heart heavy. What had I done? How had I offended her? My mind raced to our last conversation, my last email. Was she holding some grudge from some past slight? Should I have walked past her office without saying anything? But would that have been rude? What had I done? Just before I could depart, she broke the silence in the air with the first energy in her voice. "It's so frustrating. A couple minutes ago, I learned the entire computer network is out, and they don't know if we can have our online classes this morning. On the first day, it's so maddening." I commiserated about the faulty technology and the challenge of a Zoom-based classroom. Having someone to share her difficulties with, her whole mood lightened. I wished her luck and said my goodbyes with one thought in mind. It was not about me. We are each the protagonist of our own lives. Every action and event is interpreted directly through our own experience. My neighbor is intentionally playing music tonight when he knows I'm going to sleep early. That crying baby is upsetting my service experience. I have soccer all afternoon. How can the teacher assign me homework? Living in the bubbles of COVID quarantine and social media, we cultivate and craft a world to our own liking. Our actions and words are construed as about us they objectively are not. Announcing a new job on Facebook isn't a comment on your current employment. When a coworker shares about her daughter's wedding, it probably isn't referring to your child's marital status, whom she doesn't even know. Sometimes we are all living in Carly Simon's words. You probably think this song is about you. Most of the time, it's not about you. Because we are the central figure in our own life story, we insert ourselves in places where we were never intended. Have you seen someone waving at you across a room? You smile and wave back. Maybe you know them. You aren't really sure who they are. They walk forward, ignore you completely, and greet the person behind you. It was not about you, but sometimes we make it about us. Our own story takes over and shuts out the actual protagonist. When the government announced that some students' loans were being forgiven, there was angry vitriol shared. People griped, "I worked hard to pay my student loans, so these students should have to pay it all in full." But the loan forgiveness wasn't about them. And your point of pride didn't stop them from turning down smallpox vaccines and Social Security and computers, even though their grandparents didn't have any of those. When a person tells you that they want to be known by a new name or pronoun, it isn't about you. We change terms all the time. We stop using childhood nicknames, acquire titles through education, change last names through marriage, and then maybe again through divorce. A name or a pronoun change is a big deal for that person. Often it's a life-changing moment on a difficult journey. Maybe we focus on them and not on ourselves. The great Rabbi Hillel famously said, "If I am not for myself, who will be for me? If I am only for myself, what am I? If not now, when?" Some people live in the world of "if I am only for myself." They merge at the last possible second. They expect others to cater to them at the expense of everyone else. They twist reality to their own understanding, such as calling the cops on someone walking their dog or sitting on their building's stoop because they didn't fit in with their expectations of the neighborhood. They attack store clerks and waiters for minor infractions they perceive as mortal wounds. They pass laws or vote to benefit their own political position without recognizing the human beings they are harming. A Midrash shares, once many passengers on a boat were shocked to see one man beginning to drill under his seat. "What are you doing?" they cried. "You'll drown us all." The man scoffed at them. "What business is it of yours? What I do here under my own seat does not concern you." All aboard the people must have shouted, "It's not about you." It is becoming more and more common to judge the world exclusively through one's own lens, as if they are wearing mirrored sunglasses with the mirror on the inside. Everything around them is only about them. It's not always our story. Sometimes it's another person's story, and we need to turn our attention to them. As a child, our parents might have reminded us to put ourselves in another person's shoes and see things from their perspective. This can sometimes be misunderstood as telling them our perspective. While there are times that people honestly ask for our opinion, advice, and input, often we supply it unasked. A friend recently told me, unsolicited advice is criticism, not help. Uninvited comments to change how we look or work or parent or smile are pushing our agenda onto someone who didn't request it and likely doesn't appreciate it. When people share with us, they usually aren't looking for commentary, but a listening ear. Last High Holidays, I noted, if your first response to someone sharing is a statement that begins with "I," you might not be listening, but speaking back at them. If someone tells you that their car broke down that morning, they aren't looking for us to share our list of our previous car troubles. Worse, people often feel the need to respond, "You think that's bad, once I..." Thus, they have minimized the pain of the other person, as if they shouldn't be having their genuine feelings. Have you ever been told, "I feel sorry for you"? That kind of sympathy has turned a story about your life into an account about how the other person feels about your life. But the story was about you. When sharing their struggle with infertility, telling the couple that everything will work out is based on the listener's need to make things all right, not the couple's struggle and pain. When learning a colleague's parent has died, telling them, "I know how you feel," turns their experience into your life's journey. Having had a similar event in your life doesn't make it the same. When people share, from a bad date, to a fight with a family member, to a struggle at work, to financial trouble, to a fun time they had yesterday, they want to be heard and appreciated. They want empathy. The wonderful author Brené Brown wrote, "Empathy is not connecting to an experience. It's connecting to the emotions that underpin an experience. In the face of difficult conversation, when we see that someone's hurt or in pain, it's our instinct as human beings to try and make things better. We want to fix. We want to give advice. But empathy isn't about fixing. It's the brave choice to be with someone in their darkness, not to race to turn on the light so that we feel better." Take a common classic example. Someone shares that they are gay or lesbian or transgender or any part of the LGBTQ+ world. A common response is, "Yes, I already knew that." But it isn't about us and how clever we are. In that moment, the person wants connection and embrace. If a sentence starts with "I" in response, that sentence should be, "I love you. I am here for you." This is their moment of need and vulnerability. Suppose someone shares their mother's cancer diagnosis. A response could be, "At least you've had many wonderful years together." "At least" is a silver lining response. It's taking their story and making it better for us, the listener. Our response will not make things better, but our connections can. Silence, a hug, a hand have more positive impact than all the well-intentioned sympathy. We can respond with a true heart even when we don't have the words. I don't know what to say right now, but I'm glad you told me. Tell me more what you're feeling. I'm here for you. Perhaps this morning's Torah portion is a reminder of empathy. Abraham heard God's command only through his own understanding. It wasn't until he recognized how Isaac could be impacted, until he felt his son's pain, the opportunity for healing could then be found. We avoid empathy because then too, we need to be vulnerable. It is easier to put up walls and create distance than to be present in the moment with someone else, even when we love them. Putting ourselves in another's shoes is at the heart of the commandments of Judaism. Exodus 23 teaches us not to oppress a stranger. Why? Sure, it's nice and compassionate, but it is because we have been there. Do not oppress a stranger, the text reads, for you know the feelings of a stranger, having yourselves been strangers in the land of Egypt. It is not a call to say, you think you had it bad, listen to my people's story. It is a cry for connection on a soul level with another human being. When we allow ourselves to see things from the other person's point of view, we create the opportunity for profound validation and healing. We do this when we listen not judgmentally with our ears and eyes, our heart and soul. People share to be heard and seen, to know that someone else in this dark, lonely world cares about them. Not to be told that someone else had the exact same experience or to one-up by sharing their even better story. Not to have silver linings put on their troubles. Not to hear about their pain filtered through someone else's eyes. People want to connect their souls. When we respond primarily from our needs, it is our mirror sunglasses on the inside. We are then sharing what we need to hear, not what they are searching for. Can we turn the moment and recognize that so much of the time, it's not about you. It's not about us. It's about them. You are the protagonist of your life. Will you be a sympathizer, sharing about yourself, or will you share empathy, sharing about them? The actress Audrey Hepburn once said, "Nothing is more important than empathy for another human being's sufferings. Nothing. Not career, not wealth, not intelligence, certainly not status. We have to feel for one another if we are going to survive with dignity." In this new year, may we all use our many gifts not to tell others, but to listen, not to advise, but to support, not to share our experiences, but to embrace their journey, not to make it about me, but to make it about them. In our isolated world, we yearn for responses of empathy and openness. In this coming year, let's focus on each other. Shana Tova.